I didn't believe the rumors about the old palm wine cellar at the Udi Junction until I saw it with my own eyes. For months, people whispered that OWOH, the man who sold palm wine at the junction, wasn't who he appeared to be. They said he was rich, filthy rich, but dressed in ragged clothes and lived in a small, rundown hut. I never gave much thought to the gossip. After all, why would a wealthy man spend his days tapping palm trees and selling cheap wine on a dusty roadside? One evening, just before dusk, I was passing through the junction on my way back from the farm when I decided to stop by his stand for a drink. It was a quiet night. The air was thick, and the crickets were louder than usual. OWOH sat under the big Iroko tree, his back hunched, pouring wine into a calabash. He gave me a nod, his eyes tired but sharp. As I sat down, he struck up a conversation. We talked about the weather, the price of yams, and then he asked if I had heard the rumors about him. I laughed it off, not wanting to be rude. But to my surprise, he leaned in close and whispered, "Do you want to see something?" I didn't know what to say, but curiosity got the better of me. He told me to follow him, so I did. We walked deeper into the bush, past a small hut, and after a few minutes, he stopped in front of a giant tree. I'd seen the tree before, but tonight it looked different. There was a strange light coming from somewhere behind it. OWOH reached behind the tree and pulled out a hidden door carved into the bark. My heart raced. Inside was a tunnel, lit with soft, glowing lamps. We stepped in, and as we walked, the tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber. My jaw dropped. It was like something out of a storybook. There were piles of gold coins, beautiful fabrics, expensive carvings, and jewelry. It was clear that OWOH was beyond wealthy. I stood there in disbelief, but he was calm, almost bored by it. Why are you selling palm wine then?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He smiled, a little sad. "I'm looking for a wife," he said simply. "A woman who will love me for who I am, not for what I have." I didn't understand at first, but then it hit me. The whole time, OWOH had been pretending to be poor, selling palm wine at the junction, to see if any woman would marry him without knowing about his fortune. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. I kept wondering how many women had passed him by, thinking he was just a poor palm wine seller, not knowing that beneath the surface, he was one of the wealthiest men in the village. The first woman, Adeku, was known in the village for her beauty. She had suitors from Enwo neighboring towns, all of them boasting of wealth and status. One afternoon, OWOH approached her with his usual ragged clothes, a small calabash of palm wine in hand as a gift. Adeku looked him up and down, her lips curling in disdain. "Is this what you bring me?" she asked, shaking her head. "I can't marry a man who spends his days climbing trees and smells like palm sap. Look at you, dirty and poor. You have nothing to offer me." Without waiting for him to respond, she turned away, her bright wrapper swishing as she disappeared into the crowd. OWOH watched her leave, his face expressionless, but he wasn't surprised. He simply sighed and walked back to his stand. The second woman, Mbik, was kinder, but her rejection cut even deeper. She had been coming to OWOH's palm wine stand for months, always greeting him with a smile and small talk. One day, as the sun set over the junction, OWOH worked up the courage to ask her to marry him. Mbik smiled sadly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You're a good man, OWOH," she said softly, "but I can't marry you. I need a man who can provide for me and my family. Look around you. You live in a hut, and your clothes are worn thin. How would we survive?" OWOH nodded, understanding but hurt. As Chika walked away, the evening air felt colder, and for the first time, he wondered if his plan to find true love by hiding his wealth would ever work. A few weeks later, I heard that OWOH had finally found a woman. A quiet, humble lady who bought palm wine from him every week, not caring about his ragged clothes or the little he had. He married her in a small ceremony, but I knew the truth, she was about to live a life beyond her wildest dreams.